Hey, welcome. We are back. Teri Dougherty for Aloxi International.
And Jessica Innella for Aloxi International, and we're going to talk color correction.
Color correction. It is everywhere. This is our biggest thing that happens in the salon. It's all about color correction. Everyone, I don't even think, when I do a raise of hands, who doesn't have color on it? That's so important. Most people have color. And my model, Desiree, went for the half head look, and I love it. She said, she was like, I feel like Cruella de Vil in a redhead. But I want to show you the results. Beautiful. Here is the before. Here's what we were dealing with, right? And notice I did everything, so I created like a pre-fill. So this is what we started with. Her natural base is a level 7, and that's important to always know where you start during your consultation. Then we move through. She had some mystery color going through there that was a little bit deeper, and then also very pre-lightened. Then I did a fill, but I'm going to come back to this because I want to show you the after. And please just check this out. It is so beautiful. Look at the reflect on her hair. Is just stunning. We wanted to get reflect through this top area, and we needed to go back and fill all the length and the ends. So we had a nice even color, but I wanted it to sparkle.
Absolutely.
Indeed. So we started with our consultation, and I want to share exactly what she saw and where she wanted to go. And our consultation personality book is so excellent because you can open it up and come right to the red tab. So all the way down here at the bottom is the red tab. Then you can really get the opportunity to see the colors. She said at first that she really enjoyed this tone. She enjoyed the reflect in this, and then she also enjoyed some of the copper. So a combination of all three. Now, I'm going to bring you back over here.
What I love about our personality book, I want to talk about this for a second, because in a consultation, when a client comes in, they don't say, I want to be an 8.34. What they say to us is, I want to be a blonde, I want to be a brunette, or I want to be a red. And this helps us to be able to navigate through without overwhelming them with the swatch book that we use every day with one another.
So true.
All right, Teri.
Okay, here's my different sections, right? Here's where she was before. This is step 1. We have to fill the hair. And we went in and we worked with 2 fillers, and I want to share this with you. So look in here, you can see a little bit of a deeper filler, and that was our Copper Cabana. And then we also did a lighter filler, which was our tones. So you can see just that little variation, and I was looking for a softer, lighter down here, so I chose to go with our tones, which is our ammonia-free demi-permanent hair color. And then I also chose the Copper Cabana, which is our Insta Boost, and that's our conditioning mask. So while Jessica shares with you the colors that we're going to use, I'm also going to come in and work with Color Prime, because it's all about the porosity in the hair, and Color Prime helps desensitize the scalp, even at the porosity, and take off any excess wax or buildup that might be in the hair.
Just to give a visual of what that copper gems looks like, right here would be our copper gem. And that's what Teri's using to fill right now. And I think what's great to understand about Aloxi, Teri just gave you 2 different options for filling. Either using our InstaBoost conditioning mask, Copper Cabana, which she found she wanted a different result, so she went in with our K-Gems, which is our tones. So filling. So many times we make it hard with color correction. There's only 4 ways to go here. It's either too light, too dark, too cool, or too warm. And sometimes that happens on the whole head, Teri, right? I've had that happen before. A lot of these at-home kitchen beautician thing going on. So with that, we need to identify what's going on in the head and make sure we have the proper tools to go ahead and be successful.
Indeed. So that starts with consultation.
Absolutely.
Step 1. Let's find out her
Natural level finder that we have. We always want to bring the hair up with good lighting. Okay, match, and we find that she's a natural level 7.
Even though this reads a little bit warmer and more copper, but we can still tell the depth that she's definitely a 7.
Where the copper is the tone.
Right. Correct. Awesome. So now I've already gone in and pre-toned this area. I'm just going to take where the blonde is and just work that through. Again, working with tones, our demi-permanent hair color, no ammonia, and a 7 volume developer. And I'm just freehanding, working through this blonde. It is porous, and her texture is fine. So we also know that she's going to process possibly a little bit quicker. So when we're looking for our texture, you want to demonstrate by pulling that up and you rope the hair. You can see and find out exactly the texture of the hair. That's really important in any type of correction. If we don't read the hair correctly, drama-rama, right?
What I want to take notice of the proper saturation that Teri is doing. If we're doing a color correction, we want to do this one time. We want to make sure that we get the product on. It is absorbing. We want to make sure it absorbs all the way through.
Indeed. And notice how this is where it's more of that physical action, you know, when we're putting pigment back in. So if we looked at natural underlining pigment, we would notice that in order to go back, she's quite light. So looking at this chart right here, this is one of the most important things we can remember. We've got to put that color back into the hair. So if we look at under a natural level 7, we have an orange-yellow color, right?
Yeah.
And so that is what I'm building back in, and it doesn't take long. Sometimes in our color correction, it's just a spot area that I need to fill.
And as a rule of thumb, Teri, I always say if it's more than 2 levels that we're going back down, we need to make sure that we're using our underlying pigment chart to put that color back in. She's came to us and her ends were pale yellow to a light yellow in some areas. And it's very important for us to have a beautiful, rich result that we fill that hair and put that copper back in if the hair was missing.
Indeed. So you can see it stains the hair really immediately.
For anyone watching that's new to Aloxi, this is in our salon technical guide, which is also available online for you.
Okay, and just working through. So let's say you're doing, there's many scenarios. Let's say you're doing a highlight on someone, and but you're wanting to tone it and be even just a little bit deeper. But you have you ever seen some really dramatic strands of white that have gone through the hair? And
yes.
That's why I chose Desiree today, because that is that situation where I don't have to take the whole head and fill. I'm just spot filling in those areas. All right, this doesn't take a long time. Being sure that I have great saturation here.
If you're just joining us now, we are currently filling using our tones, our demi-permanent K gems mixed with 7 volume and applying it gently over the overly pre-lightened areas to give nice copper or replacing the lost underlying pigment.
So you can also see this is where I have gone in and pre-filled. Now at Aloxi we do have choices, and you just shared that we looked at InstaBoost and we also looked at K Gem with our tones, our demi-permanent hair color, no ammonia. Okay, and I chose to go with my K Gem. So now, this is how easy it can be, truly. It's, if we just follow these steps. And she was part of, let's see, she was too light, right? So if she was too light, we had to fill. Now I'm just gonna come in and towel dry and take any of that excess color off. Here we go.
You can already see the pigment coming back to the hair.
Yeah, and it's not too dark. So it just staying exactly where we wanted, that yellow orange. All right, great. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to come through here, do some foiling. I want to create some reflect because that's what she asked for when we saw her color here. We have a nice reflect in there. It's not solid. Okay, I'm going to go in. There's many different ways. We have our lighteners. We have dimensions. And sometimes I need a lightener to get a stronger, I need more power for it, removing, right? Or sometimes I'm looking for something that will decolorize at the same time different pigments. And that's what I had. As we saw earlier, she has her natural, she has a little bit of a brown edge right there, and then I want to get some reflect in this area. So I'm choosing dimensions. Dimensions lifts and deposits on pigmented hair and also natural hair.
And Teri, today you're going to be using the 0.0, and that's going to lift. Teri used 30 volume. We're going to bring it through, and that's going to give that reflect or dimensions. Dimensions with it. So when we talked about the mysteries of coloring hair, right here on your salon technical guide, page 11 is going to be your best friend. So when you have identified you need to go too light, too dark, if you need to adjust your tone, this is the page that you're going to turn to in your salon technical guide. In this situation, if we need to go light, we have two options. We're going to use either our blue lightener or a white lightener, and we can mix that accordingly to our chart, to either with water or developer, depending how much you're looking to mix, to lift. Great.
Lots of tools, and it's great to find the importance of, choosing our tool. Okay, we're gonna go in now. I've mixed up the 0.0 in dimensions, and I want to go in and create some reflect and foil. Mainly through the backside and moving towards the top. So right into the crest line area, and you can see that great staining on there, which is excellent. And now I want you to check out how I'm gonna foil this, because I'm looking for a slice. Okay, we're gonna slice this, and you can see the different dimensions that's got going on in there. I see one little bit to fill that, just that baby little bit left.
I got you, Teri. I got you. Let
You
me
got
get in
me?
there. I'm in here.
Okay. Oh, here you go.
Okay, again, blotting that color on ever so gently, working it through and down.
Perfect. We're gonna let that sit for just a moment. So we're gonna take a slice right in here, a full slice, and I'm going to take out a piece. So I'm looking for larger reflect and a piece. So it's not necessarily just a weave, but it's a really big block off of a slice. Then I'm gonna take this slice and just give it a teeny bit of a back comb, ever so slightly.
And that's gonna give a nice diffusion for that soft reflect.
Then we're coming in with our dimensions, and instead of laying flat, then I'm going to come in just softly right up here. There we go. And you can see, and move down. right where have that heavier line. I really want to pack that on and just diffuse a little bit through that. Remember, my ends were already pre-lightened a little bit and we filled them. So that's important that we're just going to take this out, set it aside right there, and then take my foils and go here. Now, we have choices. We're also going to work with, thank you, with tones on her all over color.
And tones are non-ammonia, demi-permanent. And to show you what's available in tones, on your paper swatch chart, you'll be able to identify which one of our tones, which one of our shades has tones available. If you look on your swatch chart, you can see, for example, in the 9 neutral, right next to it, tones. And that lets you know that we have that available in our demi-permanent tones option.
It's important to choose our tools because tones is the perfect partner to chroma. Chroma, our permanent cream hair color. And just letting it, there you go.
I love tones just right off the bat for the shine. How about the condition and the shine does it for me every time?
Indeed. So with chroma, when we're looking at color correction, you know that we can create our own problems. If we're thinking about pulling a permanent hair color through every time, it's important to have a partner because once you've colored that hair, it has already been permanently changed, right? So chroma, our permanent cream hair color, and then those length and ends, all you want to do is refresh the color. And that's where tones comes in and is really important to our work.
And here's what I'm going to say. So many times in beauty school, we think that information we got was not important. And let's take it back to the basics of a strand test. And we did a strand test, right? Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to try something. Before we jump face first into the pool, we want to test the water first. And we want to see, what is this going to do? What's our expectation going to be? And I would much rather do a small strand test and see what the results are going to be rather than going through and going, guess we got to do the whole thing over again.
I know.
Right, waste of time, waste of product, and I'm sure you would have lost a lot of confidence in me if we went through and did the whole head and said, yeah, I don't think so. So we want to make sure that we get a thorough history. We had a conversation about what happened to your hair. We need to know what that product is, and sometimes your client's not going to know what that product is. They don't know what the salon down the road or their friend when they were hanging out were doing. So it's important that we get as much history as possible from the client. Doing that strand test will also verify. So Teri, you said it great in the opening.
I call
mystery color. What is it? What is happening there? So it's so important that we have a good consultation. Yes, that we get a good history, but 2, let's make sure we do a strand test so we don't have any big aha moments that we need to fix.
Indeed. And a minute's time, it's like 10 minutes of a strand. It will tell you immediately what's going on.
Right.
Again, for those of you who've just joined us, we are working with a natural level 7. She has her natural level here and a little bit of a darker band, and we had to go through and fill those ends. On the ends, we filled with tones, our demi-permanent color, copper, or copper K gem. All right. And we did it very quickly by just putting it on the hair and towel blotting it off. Here we go. Let's comb this out. You can see it right there. There's our fill, because we want to get back to that underlining pigment of that gold tone, that yellow orange. Super important. Now I'm just going in and creating some copper reflect. Go. Notice I take a slice. Notice that I take a total slice and let's do that again. Hold on right here. We take a slice and all I'm doing is taking a piece out from the underneath. There you go. So we're getting a really pretty strong reflex there. All right. And this is Dimensions. Dimensions lifts on natural pigment, and Dimensions also lifts on pre-pigmented hair. So here's the scenario, you guys. This is what happens to us all the time in the salon. Maybe somebody comes in and they have red hair or blonde hair or brown hair, and I have what we have called brownout on the ends, and the hair has gotten too pigmented on those ends. So I love to go in with Dimensions because it's very controlled and very slow. I go in with Dimensions, and I may just freehand through the ends a little bit just to lift off some of that unwanted, like what we call brownout. Often happens. You'll see that a lot in reds where somebody will say, hey, you know, my red hair just doesn't feel as vibrant as it used to. And that is another thing. Another thing that we use in color correction as well is called Boost. Boost comes from Chroma, and you guys basically belongs to our Chroma line. It's ammonia in a tube. And what it does is you can take Boost and you can use that as well for, and notice just right here, notice where I'm coming around towards the front. I've changed my foil action. It's turning a little bit towards the front. Now I'm taking a strong slice here because I want to create lots of reflect. Now, Boost can also be used to remove color gently, safely, and it can give you a good level and a half to decolorize and lift it up a little bit. And that is very helpful for any type of brownout or just mixing off, getting off some excess color buildup.
Bands. Let's talk about it with bands. It's great for lifting bands.
So Jess is mixing up because she's going to come in and do some tones for us.
Absolutely. So I'm going to mix up our tones, and our tones is mixed 1 part color to 2 parts developer. So we're going in with our 8K or 8 copper. I'm going with 30 grams, and I love to use a scale, and it's so important. There's so many variables of how someone's color could not turn out the way you expected. Should never be because you weren't sure what you mixed. So 30 grams of my 8K, and now 5 grams of my copper. You saw how beautiful and rich that color was, and that copper gems is going to be an additive and kick it up a notch. It's going to be a little hot tamale over there. So we're going right with our 5 grams. When working with our gems, I always want to make sure that we mix them together before the developer. Really a good, strong whipping action so that you know that both the gem and the tones have been mixed together 100%. Okay, and that's the creamy consistency it should look like. With that, our 7 volume is going to go in. Let's tear that out again. Okay, and now we're going to go in and we're going to have 70 grams of developer. And this will be enough product for me to apply at her base and bring all the way through. Keep going, mama. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And just about there. And we got it. All right.
Excellente. So, to share with you, over here you'll see in my foils that I've see some of this hair is standing out of the foil. Now, when Jess comes in here, she's going to be coloring with tones from the base through the length and ends, yeah? But she's not going to be coloring the edge on this foil. She's going to be leaving that because later I'm going to come back in with my Dimensions and open this foil and kind of work through it to be sure that I'm not getting any bands. So again, Jess is going to start by working on all the hair in between, allowing these foil pieces to stay out. Okay? Cool. Rock and roll.
I'm ready. All right, so we're coming in with our 8K. I'm gonna work, well, let's flip them over, bring them out, working nice and neat and clean. There we go.
And for those of you just joining us, again, we started with a lot of hair on the length and ends that had been previously lightened, and it was very light, so we needed to go back and fill. We also noticed that she had a natural level 7, and so her texture is on the finer side and her ends were quite porous. Then now Jess is coming in, working with tones, 8K, level 8 copper in our demi-permanent hair color, and K gem. So she's pumping up that K gem a little bit in there to assure that we get a beautiful, beautiful copper tone. Now, something that we do a lot here in North Hollywood, right, is we have also studio programs, and our studio programs are fantastic. Jess and I are doing one in the fall. I have one the first weekend in June, and
they're interactive. I think they're so different from what most people are used to. It's a comedy show, it's education, and it's a ton of fun all together. But most of all, someone called it, we're Disneyland for hairdressers. And I think that's so funny. It's a fun environment. There's no judgment zone, and we just want to make sure you fall in love with Loxy the way that we did.
Indeed. And the thing is we have education going all the time. Spring, summer, fall, winter. Then this is our home office. This is our home. And we are all about for the love of color, indeed. Now, it's very important that I am going to send her home also, Desiree home. Being that we're doing color correction, we've got to support that also between services. And between services, we love to work with our InstaBoost. This is part of the package that she's going to be going home with to absolutely support her beautiful copper hair. InstaBoost is a conditioning color mask, and it comes in so many colors, and that's what makes it fantastic. We also have reparative shampoo and reparative conditioner because I want to maintain that her hair stays in really excellent shape. These are very important. It's really, it's about supporting the hair care at home as well.
It's an insurance policy for the hair.
Yeah.
We just did all this work and got her to where she wants to be. We want to make sure that she can maintain that and take good care of it. So we're going through, again, very small sections. Application, application, application is key. Whether you're lifting, whether you're depositing, whether you're shifting your tone, application is extremely important. Clean, neat work in between the foils. Then we're going to bring all the way through. She's going to have beautiful rich shine, fabulous dimension, and a gorgeous condition to her hair. And that copper cabana is perfect because we're not only bringing that color in, we're also conditioning the hair at the same time.
So earlier we determined that she's a natural level 7. This is your finder right here in the color swatch chart. And these are the areas that help control. So if you're doing blonding and you're trying to keep the hair cooler and avoid the underlining pigment of warmth, this is your controlling series right here. If you're covering gray, color correction often can be in when you're trying to cover gray as well, okay? So this all covers it from our natural, our intense natural, natural tan, and natural ash. Beautiful for coverage of gray. And then all this is our control series. But for Desiree today, we are working with our copper tones. We're working with the 8K level 8 copper. And you can see that as 8.4. Also, notice that little icon right here. This allows me to know that it is in chroma and also in tones. But let's say I need a 7K and I don't see that in tones right here. I can mix my 6K and my 8K and develop a 7K Super, super easy. All right. Then we're also working, again, in her hair. She also has the dimensions, which is also found in your swatch chart, and that's a 0.0. It's going to give me a beautiful reflect. When we take her back to the shampoo bowl, what we want to do is we want to go in with color lock. This is also part of the service, especially if you're working with any type of lighteners and a permanent hair color. We want to rinse thoroughly till the water runs clear.
Huge.
Completely rinse. Then we want to go in with color lock, and that's just a staple we have here at Loxy. No matter what hair color you're using, you can always be using color prime and color lock. And not to mention, we started with barrier cream right along the edge, and that's made from pure avocado oil, and that stops the staining. Now, color lock is a 2.0 pH to a 2.3 pH. What this does is this shuts down all residual chemical action. It closes the cuticle, it cleanses the hair, right? And when you comb through that hair, it's remarkable. And that is our shampoo and our conditioner, and it stops all excess residue of.
We don't shampoo out color, we don't shampoo out the color, we lock in the color.
Indeed.
Beautiful.
And that's been a huge thing for us, and it has also been proven that it helps our hair color last much longer.
And I think also mentioning, and it seems so silly, but that we're not rinsing it down with hot water. Cold water, cool water, lukewarm water, very, very important, especially being that we're playing in a copper field right now. Okay, I've finished the base application, so now I'm gonna walk the color through. Okay, gently bring it through, make sure there's proper saturation, and I will check myself by bringing apart my sections all the way throughout. So did we make it simple for you? Either too light, too dark, too warm, or too cool. And again, as Teri and I said, I've seen situations where that's all on the same head before. Really, it's logical. It's not emotional. You have to take it step by step. I know a lot of stylists who get in there and they're like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do, and they got to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. What are you seeing? Identify that, and that's how we begin to approach these big color correction projects. And if that is too overwhelming, you can check us out at aloxy.com. We always have education going on here at the studio, on Instagram, on live, or any of our videos on YouTube, and we will help you.
So you can see now Jess is pulling through on her length and ends, and I'm going to just slightly turn her around. Follow me. And just want to hold this up for 1 second, if you'd be so kind.
Absolutely.
And what I do want to do is hold this up. Here we go. Perfect. Okay. Because we did pre-do this side earlier. I'm going to turn a little bit more. And so Jess, what she's doing right now, she's pulling through. Look at this. It just glistens, you guys. It is so beautiful. She's pulling through tones, 8K, level 8, copper. Okay.
And we kicked it up a notch with some K gems.
And some K gems, indeed. And you can see the reflect that's going through her. I said gentle reflect. So it's just not one solid color. And we did that also with Dimensions 0.0. And what Dimensions does is it helps lift out some pigment in the hair, and it also lifts on virgin hair. And then we are going to go back in. When we're all finished at the shampoo bowl, we're going to work with some InstaBoost Copacabana. And again, always finishing with
Copacabana.
Copacabana.
Dance when we say that?
Right. Always finishing with our color lock. But you can see a great shine. Okay.
All right, coming through, mid-lengths and ends, working it through. You can see a very creamy, easily glidable consistency.
And notice how she's left out my ends here, because those have already been filled. So she's left that out because later I'm going to come and open my packets and then do a little bit of a pull through on where it might be needed. When we are doing color correction, sometimes we can create our own color correction doing a color correction.
Absolutely.
So here's an example. When we're working with our lighteners and we're doing big color removal, right? So what we want to do is I take mine section by section. I don't try to attempt a whole head at one time.
Smart.
So yeah, I'll go in and do one quadrant, get the lift I need, rinse that, and I'll keep the color lock on there. Then I'll move to my next quadrant, paint through that. Because if you're doing this quadrant by quadrant, you have control. And that is the most important thing you can do when you are doing color correction, indeed. And looking at your timing is so important. So never book a...
It's not a 30-minute process.
Right.
Although clients may come in and they may ask if you can make them from a level 2 all the way up to a level 9 and hope that they can be out in 2 hours. That's not reality. So when you're having, that's part of that consultation, is letting them know how much time they're going to be there, how much time this is going to take. And I'm going to tell you, as soon as I finish with this tones application, it's going to be 20 minutes is going to be our timing with the tones tones.
Right. And our demi-permanent hair color tones can be mixed 1-to-1 and it can be mixed 1-to-2, meaning 1 part tones, demi-permanent hair color, to 1 part of our 7-volume developer, or we can mix it 1 part tones to 2 parts of our developer, depending on what we want to do. If we're like saying somebody's not quite ready for permanent hair color yet, and we want to introduce them to color, but say they want a little bit of blending of gray, I'll mix tones equal parts. And then apply that and time, visual timing, but generally anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the amount of deposit that I'm looking for as well. All of this information can be shared with you in our salon technical guide.
Teri, random question. Longest color correction you've ever done in the salon?
Well,
I can
longest,
tell you.
it just, okay, it just really depends on how long their hair is, but it doesn't seem to, if I really approach it in a particular way, it doesn't seem that it'd take too terribly long. And
Smart and logical. I had a 2-day color correction. We decided after 6 hours that we were going to come back to it the next day. So I think being very honest with the client that this is going to take a lot of work is so important.
The other thing too, in our salon technical guide, again, there's everything that you can find in here. But when we're doing color correction, it's important. Let me just find this for you. We have our RX treatment, and what that does, and I'm just pulling this out because I'm very happy with what our products don't have in it, and pointing right to this. And then it talks all about what we do have and 10 free. This is so important. People are asking for this all the time.
RX treatment is huge.
And then we also have our reparative, and that is something that we can send home with the customer.
So we have finished our tones application. We're going to allow this to process for 20 minutes. I always like to just go back and make sure I was working rather quickly, that I've done a thorough application all the way through. And we're going to go ahead and let this process, and we are good.
So in between, let's say if I'm doing any type of lightening and I'm working with somebody's hair and it does feel compromised, this is huge. Our RRX treatment, 2 steps. It gives you exactly how to work with it, and this is something I will do working in between lightening treatments to rebuild that hair and keep it strong.
Okay. So, before we leave all of you, let's go over. We have Desiree, Desiree is a natural, level 7. She had very porous ends, and she came to us with a color correction, and she wanted to be a beautiful copper cabana. So we went through, and this was our half ed. This is our finished look. We've taken you through the journey of how we got here on this side, and we hope that you'll check in to see our posted pictures later on with our gorgeous copper cabana.
Indeed. So, again, check out on the website. We're going to be posting her after picture, and you'll be able to see that again, and you can ask some questions. I love working with you.
I love working with you
It's
too.
so fun. Indeed. And we do studio programs, and that's what's great here in North Hollywood. You can get your tickets if you go to aloxi.com, aloxi.tix.com, aloxi.tix.com. So check us out. We're here for you. We're all about fun, food, family, and fashion. That is our culture. Thank you for joining us, and you'll see her later. Cheers.
Bye.
Take care.